right. Well, I promised you guys we'd have a very, very interesting second intermission guest. I'd like you all to help me welcome in David Ayres. David, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for letting me be here.
It's fantastic here. A nice game here, a chance to see the Bobcats come out and play. I know you've been a big supporter of the team going on here throughout the season. What kind of drew you to the Bobcats and Ellen, and what was going on here in Danville?
Yeah, you know what? I just a whole new franchise and how Ellen has things kind of going and everything's rolling right now, and Nick coming in and just a former goalie, kind of like you follow goalies around and sort of thing like that. So I mean, great job here everyone's doing. Game's pretty good tonight, back and forth, pretty good.
Take that, and it's kind of a goalies union now, almost the way that you guys kind of support each other, at all levels. It's such an interesting dynamic. When you guys come here and you see the game, I mean, obviously you have rink experience too. So how is it for you, especially watching a game? Are you more into the goalie aspect? Are you watching the play of the game? Are you watching kind of the rink dynamics? What's it like for you to come and watch a game?
It's a little bit of sensory overload right now. I mean, you come in here and you're watching how the ice is being done and how the building's done, and I did that for so long, and then also the whole hockey aspect and the whole goalie thing. You always got my eyes on the goalies and how they work, right? So it's a goalie battle right now. I mean, back and forth. Zamboni's doing his thing, a little wet out there, but I mean, hey, it's hockey's going to be played and it's going to be fun to watch.
Now again, when you see a goal like the one that just took place there at the end of the second period, goaltender went down, hugged the post, did everything right, the way that you're supposed to do things. How do you kind of get over something like that, especially in the middle of a game? I know it's obviously a difficult one for those of us who just watch the sport. When you guys are in there and you have such a great first two periods and then to have a goal like that, what do you kind of have to do in the intermission?
That's a tough one. I mean, you couldn't really go for video replay on that one sort of thing, right? And I know the goalie probably didn't want that one to be in, and it's tough on him. But, hey, as a goalie, it's pretty much 75% mental. I mean, that's something you just got to get past. You can't change that now. It's just on to the third period. Really close game here, 2-2. Just keep trucking as a goalie and go forward, hold your team in there. That's what he's doing right now.
Now I got to ask you, too, because I'd have to turn myself off if I didn't ask this one. Obviously, you were in a very rare situation, the emergency backup goaltender situation. Everybody knows, or the video after the fact, the 42-year-old Zamboni driver worked for him. Certainly one of my favorites. What was that experience like for you? I mean, obviously, you worked for the organization. You knew that was a possibility that it could happen. But really, for the first time, that was the first time a goalie had to come in and play serious minutes in a game well into the second period, knowing you were going to play that whole time. What was that like for you? What was the experience?
Yeah, that was my third year as an emergency goalie, and I've dressed before. So, when I did have to dress that game, I thought it was going to be another game. You go in there, wear half your gear, watch the game in the room, and go home. But, I mean, you get called in, and to me, I was super pumped. I mean, that's what you practice for, and that's what you have that contract for, to be the emergency goalie in case of an emergency. You and I talked about this earlier. It was more so the fans that kind of got to me in the game rather than the actual game and the speed and everything. I was prepared for that, but you can never prepare for 20,000 fans in the stands. So it was definitely a different experience. I'd like to be able to go do it again because I'd be a little more prepared for what I'm in for. I didn't get comfortable till mid-third period, I'd say, in that game. So I'd love to be able to get back in there and try that again. But, hey, I was lucky enough to get into that game. I know there's a lot of other emergency goalies throughout the league that are dying to get into a game right now. And I'd like to see someone else get in there and do well, too, right? So it's like you said, it's a goalie union. It'd be great to see another guy get in there.
That being said, obviously, one of the big things for the Bobcats, their success has been at home. You talked just now about the fans and how that was a reaction for you. And first question I want to ask is, how was it to see the entire barn still there afterwards when you got the star of the game and still reacting to that? I mean, obviously, you've been asked that question a million times by now, but always interesting. And then what is it about the fan support that can really get you going? Because that's been a key for the Bobcats here during this inaugural season.
Yeah, absolutely. Fans could be a make or break in the game. I mean, for me, when I first went in, they scored 2 goals on me, and the Leafs would get the puck on their far blue line, and the fans were yelling, shoot. And in my head, I'm like, yes, please do shoot. I need to get warmed up, and then towards the end of the game, I was making more saves, and the fans were on my side. And like you said, the fans kind of stuck around. I got the first star. I was actually expecting no one to be there because I've been there for many Leafs losses and some tough ones. And 5 minutes later, the place is empty, right? So by the time I came out and saw probably 3/4 of the fans still there and giving me a standing ovation, that was amazing. It just goes to show how great sports fans can be, whether it's, you play against their team or for their team. They're going to have your backs. They might cheer and they might they boo at you the odd times, but in the end, they're there for the love of the game, right? So and fans here, same thing. You can hear them cheering and booing, and they're getting right into it. A couple scraps there, and they were loving that for sure. But I mean, like I said, the fans can make or break it, and they have a good season here. So hopefully tomorrow get more fans, and then get a couple more fans for the end of the season as well, just to support this great organization.
Last question before I let you go. I don't want to keep you too long here, but we saw a couple of scraps already. You mentioned that already, and obviously I'm an old school hockey guy. I grew up in the AHL watching, the Don Biggses, the Brian McGrattens, if you will, come through. What's the difference in a game, especially with your experience at both the AHL and NHL levels, coming to a league like the SPHL and seeing the physicality still playing a role, still being a little bit more a part of the game versus just the speed that you're seeing at those higher levels?
I love it. I love the physicality. I love the scraps. I know, some people want to kind of get it out of the game. I think it's huge. I mean, you got a guy who can stand up for your team, or a guy who can actually pump your team up if they're down. Get a good scrap in there, pumps up your bench. Next thing you know, you're back in the game, you're leading the game, you go into the room afterwards and you see guys tapping that guy. Hey, man, thanks for getting us going again. So I love the physicality, and I love the fact that these guys still do that down here. They're literally, some of them are fighting for jobs still. So I appreciate that. I think it's great, and I hope they keep doing it.
Well, David Ayres, thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget, David's dropping the puck tomorrow night on Paw Patrol night. Get your chance to meet the legend himself, the man with one more NHL win than a lot of goaltenders. So congratulations on that. Thank you so much. We'll be back here. It's 2-2 going into period number 3.